What's going on, everyone? How you doing? Happy Saturday and happy day after Thanksgiving, Halloween. Oh my God, I'm getting way ahead of myself. It's Halloween. You can see my little sweatshirt. I'm actually recording this on Halloween. I may have to get up and give candy out, but it's already like an hour and a half until the end of trick or treating, so I don't think I'm gonna get any people. So I got a giant bowl of candy that I'm just gonna be snacking on for the next month, and it'll be gone by the end of the weekend. I know it. But this week I want to do just a quick video about my feelings and thoughts on the first 4 episodes of Critical Role Campaign 4. As most of you, many of you, all of you know, I'm a huge fan of tabletop board games, primarily D&D. I just don't really have the time or the number of friends to get into any other tabletop games, but I love watching pretty much any style of tabletop game. I've watched all of Critical Role multiple times. I've been getting more and more into Dimension 20, and I am trying to get back into D&D. It's been a while since I've actually like really dug myself into and played D&D. It's been about a year. PAX is coming up in a couple of weeks, and I'm hoping to maybe get into a game on Saturday or Sunday. We'll have to figure that out. However, the new campaign, the West Marches style 13-player campaign, or 13, is it 13 players plus the GM, or is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 players plus GM, yeah. 13-player table, 14-player table, West Marches style, 3-table separated campaign of Critical Role, campaign for Aramán, which is the new world that they're in. Had their 4-part overture, and then this past Thursday, the 30th, was their break. They do the last Thursday of every month they take a break, and so they took a break and they had a one shot. And so I figured, you know what? Why not talk about my feelings for this campaign and things about that? A little quick, like, if you have not watched it or don't know anything about it, the basic story of the campaign is this takes place immediately after the execution of Thiazi Fang, who was the brother of Liam O'Brien's character, Hallandale Fang. He was a criminal. There may be some sort of corruption throughout the city, and the leader of a rebellion known as the Falconeers Rebellion, or a bit of a war known as the Falconeers Rebellion. There was a plan to try to free him from being released or from being executed. However, things went wrong, shit went down, and they weren't able to free him. First 4 episodes was introducing each of the characters, all 13-player characters, and their connections with one another. Most of, if not all the characters, with the exception of one, had previous relationships with at least one or more of the other characters within the campaign. So they've all known each other. Many of them have fought in the Falconers Rebellion under Thiazi Fang. And I'm not going to get too far into the depths of what you need to know, or what you may need to learn, because Critical Role released a video known as the Overview of the Overture on Wednesday this past week. So if you want to watch that, that will cut out 12 hours of watching, of viewing time. You can watch that and get the basic gist. However, you're not going to get all of the character interactions and everything else, but you get the idea of what's going on. And I really like that they did that. I'm hoping, because they are putting a lot more production value into it beyond just playing the game. And they've always done a little bit more production value, but now, like, I think with pulling in Brennan and how they do a lot of the production and filming and stuff of Dimension 20, and he's like trying to show them, because I love Critical Role. Critical Role started this. Dimension 20 is amazing. They are both great in their own rights, but Dimension 20 cranks out products fast. And so maybe they're taking some tips from Brennan so that they could pre-record a lot of content and not be as busy, because that's what they do at Dimension 20. For instance, one of their campaigns is a 4-episode campaign they recorded in 2 days. So like they can bust stuff out over there over at Dimension 20 at Dropout. So I'm hoping that with this and how they've been doing a lot more production with the abridged videos that they have releasing weekly for the previous campaign or for Bell's Hell's campaign, and all of the critical recaps that they have had been releasing on Beacon.tv over on Beacon. I'm hoping that they do these sort of overview episodes or videos after each section, because they have basically announced that, like, not necessarily each episode, but every couple of episodes will be a block for a specific table, depending on who and where the specific table is. And they have announced who is going to be part of each specific table, because they are breaking up the group of 13 into a group of 5 and 2 groups of 4. So it's going to be 3 separate storylines that are going to be interconnected, but not necessarily separate storylines, separate gameplay actions, I guess you could say, which is really cool. And so I hope they do more like overviews, like here's what you need to know before this episode comes out. Here's what you know. So when they're done, the first set of episodes, so episode 5 is going to be the soldiers table. I'm hoping that when they come back after they do a few episodes of the soldiers table, the next time we go to that table, they release an overview. Here's what happened last time. So that this way you can watch it and you can go over what it was and like refresh yourself or recap for that table. Because although, yeah, maybe they're playing it every other week. I don't know their recording schedule. Maybe it's like every 3 weeks. But for us, it's going to be like every 3 months. So we're gonna need a bit of a recap. So I really am enjoying the added production value they've been putting into these stories and the telling. One of the really cool things, they have a cold open now where they introduce a part of like the theme of what's gonna happen in that episode, or what they might work on in that episode, or just like something in the mind of somebody within the that's going to be focused on in that episode. And then they go into their whole um, theater where they are introducing their sponsors and all the other announcements, their announcement theater, and then they go into the show, and it's really cool. I have a Beacon subscription, so I skipped like the breaks and stuff like that, so which is nice, and I've been watching it all on Beacon. Um, but overall, I'm enjoying this style. I'm enjoying this version. This new campaign, and I think it's really cool. I love all of the characters. I'm excited to see where some of this lays out, or some of this falls, or where some of this goes. And I just, yeah, I love the art. I love the different characters. Like I said, there are 3 tables: soldiers, schemers, and seekers. And each of those tables are like a different focus. So for instance, the soldiers table is what we're going to be starting on the first Thursday of November, which is, what is that date? What is that date? I should have gotten it, which is the 6th. So this coming Thursday. Um, we are starting with the soldiers table. It's 5. I guess you could say 6, but also you could argue like 5, because one of the it's a joke, but Thimble is so tiny. She's like only half a player. She's so adorable. But it's 5 player characters. One of them has a companion, a beast companion. So it's 5 player characters and their beast companion. And their team is going to be focused on broad adventure, exploration, and combat. Is really what that's going to be mostly about. Um, with that lineup starting from left to right in this image that I found on the Critical Role wiki, you got Taylor Proudsire, who is being played by Travis Willingham. You got Wikander Halavar, who is being played by Sam Riegel. Thimble, who's way up top on top of the Demon Lady, who's being played by Laura Bailey. You have Tyranny, who's played by Whitney Moore. And you have Cadigan Vale, who is being played by Robbie Damon, and his wolf companion, whom I can't remember his name at the moment. The cat's name is Wolfric, or wolf's name is Wolfric. So Wolfric, it's wolf. Makes sense. And their classes is Paladin, Cleric, Rogue, Warlock, and Beastmaster Ranger in that same order. And it's a nice party makeup. You got a tank, you got a healer, you got a couple of DPSs. You got some decent action economy with each of them. Paladins don't have a lot of bonus actions, but they do get second attacks. Rogues have a lot of bonus action skills and abilities. We don't know the subclasses of each, the archetypes or whatever you want to call it, of each of them, with the exception of Cat, who is a Beastmaster because he has a Beast Companion. So right now we just know the basics. They haven't really like released a whole like here's exactly what each build is. There are some multi-classes not in this group, and so like it's going to be interesting to see how things play out. We've only had a handful of confirmed multi-classes, Cat being one of them because he has the Beastmaster campaign or Beastmaster Wolf. Um, and yeah, it's a cool makeup. All the characters are cool. I'm excited to see the growth of Sam Riegel's character, who is Wikander Halavar. He is kind of dumb. It's wild that he has a wisdom score as low as he does, and he's still a cleric. And he's like he's not necessarily dumb. He's just not his wisdom's low, so he's not like he doesn't realize what's going on, even though he's being told what's going on at times. Like he's just it takes him a little bit longer to really fully understand and comprehend. His comprehension of the things that people are telling him isn't quite there. But he's just going to be a fun character to see, like how he evolves from the character he is and where his upbringing is into like somebody who's maybe better for the society. It's going to be interesting to see where their campaign goes because they are chasing after the person who betrayed them from being able to rescue Thiazi Fang. Um, and this is supposed to be a very deadly world. This is a world without gods, and so the anywhere outside of the cities are supposed to be like very hardcore and hard to survive, it seems. And so it's going to be very fun to see how this goes. I'm going to be very interested to see leveling progress throughout the campaign because since there are so many players, it would obviously make sense that they're not going to level up as often. So I think the likelihood of getting a high level campaign, like uh above level 10 or 11 campaign, is not going to be likely because there's so many pieces playing. It's not going to make sense to level them up when the soldiers reach a threshold. It's going to be when they all do something. So I don't think this is going to be a high level campaign. Campaign started with everybody at level 3. I don't see it going above 10 to 15. I don't see it going above 10, to be honest. And Brennan is saying, like, hey, be prepared to die. Like, he's going to go hardcore. And we'll get into that in a little bit. The next group that we have is the Schemers. The Schemers are more about intrigue, espionage, and uncovering the different machinations of what's going on within the city and within the government and the powers at be that are causing chaos, essentially, and causing trouble throughout the city and making life harder. From left to right, we have Murray McNeeson played by Mercer Ray. We have Helen Deal Fang played by Liam O'Brien. We have Azune Nair played by Luis Carrazzo, and then we have Belair Lothlia, who is played by Taliesin Jaffe. And their classes are a diviner wizard. That's one of the only like secondary classes that we know for the most part. One of three, really. I guess one of four is she's a diviner wizard. We have a bard. We have a paladin sorcerer. From Azune from Luis, and then we have a warlock coming from Taliesin. And this cast this lineup is pretty cool. It's very high power. It's very strong casting power over here. We've got two primary like damage dealers. We got a tank tanky character that can do some healing and some damage, and we have a support from the bar that can do some damage or do some healing as well and some damage. So it's going to be an interesting lineup, but they're not going to be really built for combat. There's going to be a lot of role play. I'm sure they will all groups will have some form of level of combat. However, this group is going to be built for like sneaking around and uncovering truths and like debating and arguing and learning about what's going on with the leaders within the group within the city. Um, the party makeup, like the characters, dwarf, orc, human, and human, are pretty cool. I'm really interested to see what they did with Talison's um origin build. I guess is that what they call it now? They don't call it race. They call it origin. Yeah, it's origin now in D&D because Taliesin is doing something that I've had a lot of friends say that they've always wanted to do. He is playing just a sentient object. He is playing the mask. The mask is his character, and if the mask gets taken off his character, that person dies. But if it gets put on somebody else, Taliesin takes over, which is just like it's an incredible plan, like incredible way to go about it. I'm so excited to see how this plays out. I love when Taliesin goes a little wonky and crazy, and he's playing a warlock, which I've seen other people. One of the other YouTubers I watched, Lou Buffin, she was asking like, what kind of weird craziness does Taliesin have planned? What is his warlock's patron? Is his own patron? Is his patron the god he was made to kill? Like what is it? Because Talison's backstory was he is one of the weapons that was made to kill the gods. So that's that's pretty sweet. I really love it. I love this party makeup as well. And lastly, we've got the Seekers. The Seekers are built on diving into magic and the lore of the universe and divinity and trying to understand what's going on with that whole nature and aspect. And yet again, it's going to be they are probably going to have some combat. They had some decent combat in the most recent episode. Um, but they're going to be built on understanding the otherworldly. A lot of the houses within this city, the city that that it takes place in, I can't quite recall the name of the city. They were connected to different aspects of um the multiverse in a sense, whereas some of some of the classes, the Ozzy Fang's wife or ex-wife, his yeah, Thiazi Fang's ex-wife was actually like her people were druidic people that like had a tie to the Fae and the fairies. Um, then you have Alexander Ward, who's playing a character, who his family is tied to death and the underworld and stuff like that. So there are big houses that are tied to different aspects of sort of divinity and nature and the multiverse in and of itself. That is going to be interesting to see like what they are leaning into, because again, this world is a world where the people have killed the gods, and so maybe the gods aren't actually dead. Maybe the gods, what they did as they killed the gods, the gods have disappeared, but they don't actually have, they're not actually dead. They just haven't come back, or something like that. But maybe this group is going to lean into understanding why the doors of fairy have closed down. The doors of fairy, the doors of the Fey realm, they have locked. So, like fairies that are within this world, for instance, Thimble herself, they explain when you first meet her, she has aged a few years since they last seen her. Um, in an aspect that it has been a few years. However, if the door went since the doors of the Fey realm of the Fey of the Fairy had been closed, she has aged. But if they had not been closed, she had continued to just stay the age that she was. And like she would have aged, but her body wouldn't have aged. She would have essentially been immortal in a sense. So it's going to be interesting to see like what they're diving into and the overall arcing lore of the arcane and the divine sense of this world. And I'm really excited to see a long form campaign from Brennan, from the mind of Brennan, with all of these features added to it. Now the party makeup from left to right, you have Octus Taconis, who's being played by Alexander Ward. You have Taisha Loy, who is being played by Abria Iyengar. You have Sir Julian Davinos, who is being played by Matthew Mercer, and then you lastly have uh, Lady Valis, being played by Ashley Johnson. Their classes, in that order, is a necromancer wizard, because he is within a family of necromancy, and a family of the undead and the underworld. You have a Circle of the Land druid from Taisha. You have a fighter rogue multi-class with Sir Julian, and then you have another paladin from Ashley Johnson. It was a very paladin and divinity strong cast. There's three paladins within this cast, which you don't often see a lot of paladins played. Like, that's a lie. There have been paladins in Critical Role and in D&D, and it always tended to be a multi-class. It was never the primary class. I don't think in any of the three we've had um Vax, played by Liam O'Brien in Campaign 1, multi-class rogue and paladin. We had Ford, played by um Travis Willingham, multi-class Warlock Paladin, which is a really interesting multi-class. And I don't believe there was any sense of Paladin uh in campaign 3. We did have a temporary Paladin. I can't remember her name, but she was in some of the EXU characters. She was the bunny woman who she was at start a rogue but then became a paladin between I don't remember her name, but yeah, we've never had like just full on paladins, and paladins are actually very solid, fun martial, like mix between martial and caster. They are a good martial class that has casting capabilities. So I am excited to see how this all plays in, especially since this is a world where the divine and divinity of itself have been removed. So how do paladins pull their divine powers and their strengths and their magics? One of the cooler characters in this group, like first Sir Julian Davinos, a fighter rogue combination, and his fighter abilities he's going to be working on giving himself a lot of advantages so he can use the rogue sneak attack. So I'm sure he's gonna have like an equal level of rogue and fighter in that, so that he can keep bursting that high damage but also getting those multiple attacks. That's gonna be incredible to see. He has right now he uses a main hand and offhand attack with his a main hand attack with his rapier, offhand attack with his gauntlet as he goes forward, multiple hits with his rapier, one offhand attack with his gauntlet. It's gonna be really cool to see how he plays this out. Um, but also Octus was really cool. Spoiler alerts for anyone who has not watched the first 4 episodes. At the end or midway at the beginning of episode 4 of campaign 4, Octus actually gets killed. It was sort of scripted, but not necessarily. It was scripted is the wrong word. It was planned. It was a planned death because Alex wanted to play a hollow one. He wanted to play a revenant. He wanted to play an undead character, but um, Brennan was like, I can't just make you undead at start, but how would you feel if I kill you in the fashion that you want this to happen? However, I'm not going to just give it to you. You have to make the right choices. So even though it did seem a little like scripted that Octus came back as undead, it is incredibly possible that he wouldn't have come back at all. The choices he made were the choices that actually led him to that. And if you are part of Beacon, you already know this. If you're not, this is why I'm here. Brennan has come out and said that the path that Alex took, that Octus took, was the worst path he could have taken. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, because his entire family is not happy with him. His family killed him and was trying to use him as a conduit for something else, and it just they were able to cancel it and clear it out. It's gonna be interesting to see Valis's connection to this world, because although she now has sort of a connection to Octus because he is the first human to come back to life after being killed, or first creature to come back to life after being killed since divinity and the divine have left the plane, the existence of man. um she got her thing. She got her gem back. That was her goal, was to get the Night Song gem back. So it's going to be interesting to see how she connects and works with this. So like there's a lot of like questions of what's going on, what's going to happen. The party makeup is there to be very fun. The It seems like the lineup of how they're going to do things is going to be very like a couple episodes here, a couple episodes there. The first couple of episodes we're going to have the soldiers. Then once the soldiers are done for their first arc, we're going to go to both seekers and schemers at the same time because they're in the same place. And then I'm sure like maybe midway through that episode or by the end of that episode, those groups will split into their own things that they're working on, but they're going to be more likely to be able to intermingle and connect with each other while the soldiers are off and traveling. So it's going to be harder for them to connect. I have seen a lot of people complaining. There's too many characters. I don't know who to care about. I don't have any blah. It's First of all, relax. It's been 4 episodes. You barely know anybody. Give it time. Second of all, this is pure fantasy here. This is what a fantasy story is. It's always multiple groups. It's always this group doing this, that group doing that, these people going over here. It's never one solid group. The closest thing we had in Critical Role to this was Campaign 3, where did run Mighty Nine, and they did run Vox Machina, and they did run Bell's Hells scenarios separately. And like there's a whole world connecting to it. And now instead of just the DM figuring out in the background and arguing with themselves, the parties are doing that for the DM and working to figure things out together to make this all fixed. It's not just one person or one team fixing the whole world. It's a big group of 3 sets of people trying to figure all this shit out and understand the world. And I'm like, if you have ever been a fan of, say, Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones, or like give me any other fantasy property that I know or have a chance to read up on, and I'll tell you how many who's the soldiers, who's the seekers, who's the schemers. Now sometimes yeah, those parties stay together, but a lot of times like there will be separate groups working on things. This is how storytelling works. This is how true active real life world works. This is what DMs do in the background, is like, all right, while my players are doing this is what's happening over here. Well, now we get to see that. Now we get to see, well, these characters are doing this, these characters are doing this, and these ones are doing this. And the time frames are going to be weird, yes, because it's going to be, all right, in the time of these 4 episodes, these 8 characters are doing this. So we're going to get 4 episodes of the soldiers, and then we're going to get 4 episodes of the schemers, and we're going to get 4 episodes of the seekers. Probably not 4, maybe like 2, maybe 4, maybe 3. I don't know. I don't know how they're fully going to do it. But it is all going to come to a close all together, and everyone's going to get back together, and there might be a big final boss where all 13 are together at some point or another. Probably, maybe, but like I said, I don't see this campaign going beyond level 10 or 11. I think this is going to be a quick campaign, no more than a year and a half, maybe 2 at most. I don't see it going much beyond 50 to 60 episodes. Um, and that's not to say that it doesn't have legs. I think that's what they have planned for. They have planned for a decent number of episodes where everyone that's going to give all the founders a break. It's going to introduce new players so that when the new campaigns start and they don't have all the founders and they have some of these new players, it's going to slowly help us like be happy with new players as ongoing cast members and the founders taking more time off if they need to. But I'm excited for it. I'm ready for it. I can't wait to see more. Um, so you guys let me know what you think about Critical Role Campaign 4. And any other, what other actual plays should I watch or listen to or pay attention to? What are your favorite actual plays that aren't Dimension 20 and aren't Critical Role or anything connected to either of those two? What are your favorites that I should watch? And let's have a discussion down below. Tell me your thoughts and feelings about this campaign. And yeah, check out the other videos and everything else I make. I appreciate y'all for hanging out and being here. Be careful, be safe, don't do anything I wouldn't do. Always have good luck. And of course, like always, be sure to mix my socks. See you all in the next